Muffins made from cattail flour? Really? That's what a Florida restaurant wants to serve as a part of their Florida-grown commitment to locally sourced foods. And they want it to come from a farm run by Burmese refugees in the Tampa Bay area. Partnering with the farm, we set out to make flour from the cattail growing in the ponds at the farm. Watching online videos and collaborating with local experts, we were able to successfully identify the cattail at the farm and learn how to make flour from the roots. This is an instructional video on making flour from the collected cattail roots. Let's meet the cattail team. Panning left to right, we have Veronica, Colleen, Lulu, and John. Before we get started, some equipment is recommended for collecting the cattail from the pond. This equipment includes water-resistant gloves, water-resistant boots, wading overalls, and a bucket to carry the rhizomes. Today we are going to make flour from cattail in 10 easy steps. First, we're going to identify the rhizome on the cattail. Then we're going to look at where to cut the rhizome off of the cattail. Thirdly, we're going to learn how to harvest the rhizome in both shallow and deep water. After that, we're going to wash our hands for germs. And then we're going to wash the cattail of any remnants from the pond. Next, step 6, we're going to peel away the outer core. Step 7 involves stripping the starch from the inner core that remains. Step 8 is drying the starch in the sun. 9 is grinding the flour. And 10 is sifting the remaining flour.
The rhizome grows sideways from the bottom of the plant. When cutting the rhizome off of the cattail, you want to make sure to cut as close to the base as possible. Make sure that the rhizome is white and healthy. If the inside of the rhizome is brown, then it should be discarded. When the water is shallow, pull the rhizome up directly. Search around the roots of the cattail for the rhizome. Remember, the rhizome grows sideways out of the base of the plant. When the water is too deep to safely stand in, carefully pull the cattail out of the water. Sometimes the rhizome will come up with it. Other times, the rhizome will break off and there will be no rhizome attached to the base. Make sure you wash your hands thoroughly with soap and water after harvesting the cattail. After collecting the cattail, you have to wash off the mud from the rhizomes before peeling off the outer layer. The ends of the rhizomes should be cut off as well. The inside of the rhizome has two distinct parts, the inner core and the outer layer. The inner core is very fragile and can easily break. Try not to break the inner core. Start to peel away the outside layer.
It may help to cut the rhizome into smaller pieces so the inner core can be easily seen. It then may be easier to continue to peel off the outside layer. After we have removed the outside layer, we are left with the inner core.
Next, we want to remove the starch from the inner core. We do this by running the backside of a knife or other hard object across the inner core. The starch that comes out is sticky. We want to scrape until we can see the fibers. Once the starch is removed, we want to place it into a bowl. We can dry the flour by setting it out in the sun. Make sure it isn't a windy or rainy day. Once the flour is dry, it will need to be broken up. This can best be done using a blender or grinder. Here we use a coffee grinder.
Once the flour has been blended together, the longer strands of fiber that did not blend will have to be sifted out. This can be done using a sifter. Once the strands have been sifted out, you are left with the smaller particles of flour. These can be used to supplement flour and bake anything you'd like. Now we have reached the end of our journey. I hope you had as much fun watching this as we had making it. Now go out there and make some flour from Cattail.